Well, Happy New Year to everybody. It's a cool January the 3rd morning here. I had been on a fairly decent drive yesterday. I was away down to Stoke-on-Trent in England and I was noticing when I was hard braking there was a kind of noise, so I think I might have something going on with this rear brake disc. The fronts are looking fine. If you can see that, the light's terrible. Should probably put the flash. It looks pretty awful because it's been sitting overnight. This one looks okay. Again, it's middle of winter here in Scotland, so the discs are not going to look their best. And then that's got the surface on it, but maybe not ideal, but it's not drastic. But it's got a bit of rust bloom on it overnight. So my plan today, get the wheels jacked up and do a bit of a rear brake service just to check things out. I'm now on 192,000 miles and then some, so I think this one's going to be the one that's a problem. But when I was braking hard I was getting a kind of do-do-do-do-do sound, so I reckon this disc or the caliper, whatever, might be causing an issue. I'm hoping that it's just slide pins that need greased up. But anyway, I'll get the car jacked up and have a look. Well, this is the first time I've seen this for a while. I've got all the nuts off, but the wheel seems to have corroded itself onto the brake disc. So I think these tyres were fitted during the lockdown at some point, so we're coming up to 3 years ago. So I've probably not had the back wheel off since then, so I'm going to have to use some brute force and ignorance trying to get that wheel off, which I was not counting on. I wasted approximately half an hour getting this wheel off. What I did was I got a kettle full of boiled water and I heated up the wheel with it all the way around, just kept spinning it. So now it's off. You can see where it was pretty well corroded on there and there. That'll need a good cleaning up. Now what I did, which is maybe not what you're supposed to do, but you'll see there's like a hole at each point there, so water got poured in there as well. And then what I did, I took a screwdriver and then from the top I basically put that into the space there like that, and then I just tapped it very, very gently, because obviously the last thing you want to do is break your bloody wheel. Just tapped it and then I got it off. I tried a lump of wood and a hammer, mashing it on each side, did not help. But anyway, this is obviously, it's actually quite warm that to touch, and I've taken this wheel off now for a couple of minutes, so yeah, it needs cleaned up. Bit of copper slip put on there, same with this, cleaned up. I suspect I'm probably going to have to put new discs on this, but I'll see what the outcome of the MOT is. I see that this was changed I think 3 years ago, that damper. It's rusty already. Good old Scottish weather. So next step is I'm going to take this off, have a look at the slide pins. I'm suspecting the slide pins are not fantastic, so we'll check that out. The dust shield's not looking any better, but I see you can get those online for something like 50 odd quid a pair, so I'm hoping everything's okay. But anyway, next thing, take that caliper off. Well, this bolt is stuck in, so I've managed to get this one out. That was this 13mm effort. Wasn't the easiest to get out, but there is even copper slip in there. So for those complaining that copper slip is not a good idea for bolts in Scotland, yes, I believe you. So anyway, this slide is definitely pretty solid, so I'm going to have to take that out. I'm going to have to clean out and then also check this one. That doesn't look very clever either, so I'm going to have to get the nut out. But I can cheat, I can just clean that up in situ. The pads are pretty thin there, definitely, as a result. So I'm pretty sure that'll fail on the pads. But I'll take them out, clean them up, get them working a bit better. And then I'll need to clean this up. I noticed the rubber grommet's not there, so that's for adjusting the handbrake. But yeah, I'll need to knock these pads out, they're looking pretty shit. And see how it goes. Well, you can definitely see the state of that slide pin. It's not great at all, is it? It needs a good wire brushing down, clean up and lubricate, and it should be okay. But with regards to the pads, I'm definitely going to need a new set of pads, but probably a set of pads and discs. But we'll leave that up to the MOT guy to decide. Taking the shims out. Oh, I'm just about to fall over here. Taking the shims out, cleaned up behind here with a wire brush. Cleaned up there, put a sliver of copper slip in behind the shims. I'm now cleaning up the brake pads, sorry. And then putting it back together just to see how well it works. But obviously these pads were not working properly. I'm going to order a new set of pads, so I'm not going to put too much effort into this at the moment. Next thing is to get the wire brush onto here, clean that up, and then it'll be the same on the wheel. And then I need to grease up the slide pins and get them, make sure they're working fine. I've wire brushed the inside of that wheel. I'll put a smear of grease on it, and I've wire brushed, not absolutely perfectly, because I'm probably going to end up having to put another couple of discs on, I reckon. So a bit of grease on there, that'll stop it mating with the surface, and hopefully I'll take it for a bit of a drive and see if this brake starts to clear off a bit. But I think it's definitely going to be a case of changing the rear discs. So it just shows you up here in Scotland, you really want to be servicing your brakes at least once a year, I would say. But hopefully it's not going to be a problem. Well, there's been quite a few cock-ups this morning, I'll say that much. What time is it now? It's now almost 2 o'clock. That's 5 minutes fast, that watch. So, well, obviously, first of all, I had the problem getting the wheel off. That's resolved. I've put some grease in that over there. I'm going to be taking this off again the next week or so, probably, to change the discs and the pads properly. I don't know where it's gone. I must be going mad in my old age. But the slide pin, I took it out to clean it up. I've got the video of it earlier. I cannot find it anywhere. Hopefully once I put all this back together it'll reappear, but I don't know. I think the gremlins came along and ate it or something, because I can't find it. So anyway, I had a spare one, I fitted that. The pads are all in and everything obviously now. Hopefully it's going to pass. The disc is looking a bit shit, to be fair. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten up the handbrake slightly. To do that, you basically line this up. In fact, the handbrake's on at the moment. You line it up down here with, I think it's this one, and then there's a little thing you adjust. But I think it's more a case of just adjusting the handbrake, as in at the lever. Take up a little bit of cable slack. Holds fine, no problems at all there. Apart from that, I'm going to get my tools tidied up, wash my hands, and hope that the gremlins that stole the the slide pin bring it back, because I haven't got a bloody clue where it's gone. So anyway, I'll be giving this a test, see how it goes. I'm really kind of struggling with the weather here today. It's going to rain, so I'm going to stop on this one side, which is taking me hours. It's ridiculous how long this is taking me. It was literally a 20 or a 30-minute job that's turned into, I don't know, 3 hours or something. And the vast majority of that has been looking for that friggin' slide pin and then getting this wheel off. I think getting the wheel off set me back half an hour anyway. So top tip here is, don't leave it too long to service your brakes, especially before an MOT. I've got my MOT on Friday, so we'll find out how it does, and I'll keep you updated on Friday how it goes. Any questions, just ask. I've been through the brake stuff before, but I will be doing brake replacement, as I say, I guess within the next few weeks, weather depending, and also depending on the outcome of the MOT. Just taking the car for a brief walk. I think we can say that the brakes are starting to work at the back now. Pity I hadn't done it yesterday when I did like a 400 odd mile drive, but the pads should start taking most of that off. But I pretty much suspect I will actually just change the discs once the weather's better, hoping that it does actually pass. And I think at some point I'm going to have to see about replacing the dust cover there, but I'll put that off till the better weather, hopefully. So yeah, I left that a bit too long. I should have been doing that in the summer, but we had such a crappy summer here. It was raining pretty much every other day, it seemed. So if anybody's got any tips or suggestions, quite happy to listen and see what you say. But yeah, I think I'll need to order a couple of sets of a set of pads and some discs, just to have spare. I've actually got a spare set of calipers for this car that were brand new, so, but the calipers seem to be working fine. It's just the bloody slide pins and Scottish weather. Anyway, please feel free to like and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Well, I'm out again this morning. It's actually sunshine. Don't know how long it'll last, but this wheel was starting to corrode on, certainly, and the nuts were on pretty tight, so, well, ATS made a good job of making sure the nuts were on securely. I'm just going to make sure these slide pins are working properly, but looking at the disc, I think things are okay, but I'll just take it off, give the slide pins a bit of a grease up, and see how it goes. I've not had a notification yet to say my new discs and pads are on the way, but they're certainly there if it fails tomorrow during the MOT. So I'm just going to clean this up with a wire brush, and then I'm going to take the caliper off. So it's should be two 12mm bolts there and there, and then just a case of lifting it off. But it's not looking too bad. I think these discs are about 3 years old now. Not absolutely shiny and smooth, but then again, 3 Scottish winters later, not surprising. Well, in case any of you are wondering how I'm doing this, I'm just using my old Aldi work zone drill, and then wire brush on it, take off all the surface rust. Obviously I wouldn't recommend doing this one-handed because you don't get quite so much control over the drill, but you've got the idea. So I'll do that, and once I've finished I'll take a little bit of video. That's that one cleared up. Just takes a couple of minutes at the most, depends obviously on the rust, but I suspect these discs might get changed in the near future. So it'll keep any corrosion at bay. Just a very light smear of grease around the mating surfaces. You can see on this one, compared to the other side, the grommets there for the handbrake adjustment, but I think everything should be okay. So next thing, as I say, I'm going to take the caliper off and just check the slide pins for smooth operation. Well, I've obviously cleaned that up and I've taken the caliper off. One thing I've noticed with these bolts is that they're not actually a 14 and they're too big to be a 13, so they're a very loose fit 14, so that's not very clever, but it does look like these pads are not moving particularly well. And slide pins, that one is absolutely solid. This one's moving slightly, so they definitely need a good clean and clear out. Well, that's that all put together. Got a very thin smear of grease on there. The shims have been cleaned up. The pad carrier behind that's all been cleaned up. The ears of the pads have been cleaned up. The bolts have been put back in. I'm not very happy with those bolts. I say they're a kind of halfway house size for some strange reason, but it seems to be working okay. But yeah, I think from now on I'm going to do a summertime service of the brakes rather than leave it till this time of year, especially the day before my MOT, which is not really the best time to be farting about doing this. But I've noticed this before. This side has a lot less rust than the other side. Now you can see the damper there, not nearly as rusty as the one that I replaced a couple of years ago. So for some reason the right hand side gets affected more by rust than here, and this wasn't nearly as seized up, although the slide pins weren't great either. So time to put the wheel back on, and I think it's maybe time for a cup of tea. It's Friday morning now. I've just come back from the MOT, and there's the outcome. This brake failed due to delamination. Car's stopping fine, but anyway, I've got 2 discs and a set of pads ordered, so hopefully they're here tomorrow or Monday. Apart from that, it said that the windscreen wiper blade was defective, slightly smeary, but well, don't think that's a big deal. And then he mentioned the front discs, or the front brakes, were fluctuating slightly, but well, they look just fine to me. Let's have a look on the other side. Yeah, they look nice and shiny and polished, but can't complain with that too much. That was done at the local ATS. Brake disc worn rear. Well, yeah, I mean it's not in brand new condition, but I mean I don't think that's that bad. But anyway, there's two new discs coming anyway, so that should disappear. And then the corrosion on the springs, well, it's now an 11-year-old car in Scotland, so you can't really complain. But the guy did say that the car was in excellent condition underneath, especially considering the mileage, so thumbs up for Kia. Anyway, time to get in and get a cup of tea because it's a very miserable wet day here. So anyway, hope you're all having a good new year. Well, happy new year everybody.